something big is happening. And you could say it's something biblical is happening. Now, I believe everything is ordained by God. We know that. But let's just talk just for a second. And in today's video, we're going to really discuss this. If we were going for Iran to take a regime out, and probably, honestly, yes, we wanted the regime out, but to be honest with you, it really dealt with more of controlling China and the control of their strait and the oil that was going to them. So we're really trying to harm them more probably than just Iran. But I want you to think, we had a blood moon. We have now them just absolutely just sending rockets all over the Middle East, which almost reminds you of a Gog-Magog war or a situation where the whole Middle East is in turmoil now. What is the future and what does it look like, especially over the next week of what's going on? Now, if you remember the last situation, I think it was like 12 days or so when it was all said and done. This is definitely more intensive. Trump said that him and Central Command will be expediting more. Now, what we're seeing is we have a very heavy presence right there right now. Today we're going to discuss this. We're going to talk about the blood moon. We're going to talk about Iran. We're going to talk about America and what our plans are. We're also going to talk about the woke right and how they've lost their ever-loving mind. And I believe that that's what you're going to see is you're going to see the Tucker Carlsons and the ones like him try to dismantle the Republican movement. We're going to discuss what other things like the cyber attacks, the fall of the dollar, of the Iranian dollar, how we took and we decisively decided to do something and then all of a sudden it went through. How quick could that happen here? Also, we're going to discuss how many sleeper cells are here in America. How many people could be here in America? There's a new study out. It wasn't just the 18,000 that they thought. There's a new intelligence saying it's actually around 40,000. We're going to discuss that from a CIA whistleblower. And also, she's going to tell us exactly what's going on here in America and how we should prepare. And then lastly, we have threats coming from these people saying that they're supposed to do a worldwide alert into going after all people who are not Islamic. So what's going to take place? Are we going to see sleeper cells wake up all over America, all over Great Britain, all over Canada? Possible. Because you're going to see the number of mosques and number of people in UK, so that could very well happen there, and it could even happen here. We're going to discuss all this today, a big video, must watch. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about the situation, of course, going on with Iran and the situations why we say something big is coming, something big is happening, or something biblical is happening. Now, that's a lot, but I think what we're looking for is that black swan event. Now, hopefully that black swan event won't happen to the American people. Hopefully we will do what we say we're going to do. Go in, strike, get out. I think that that's what Trump wants, but I think Trump is also understanding that this is all-out battle. So first, let's talk about this. We had a blood moon. It's kind of prophetic. You can use the blood moon for a lot of things. We also have the supreme leader taken out, which has been confirmed. Not only that, a lot of the generals have been confirmed. Now, here's what's happening. They're still threatening America. So Trump said, the more that you try to go into these bases, the more that you're shooting all over the Middle East, the more you try to hit Israel, the more that you do this, we're fixing to step it up. He actually told Central Command and told him, he told the media, he said, what these people don't realize is we're nowhere near our capacity. We can unleash havoc. And I think what he's trying to do is say, look, we're doing very determined strikes, but if they keep pressing, all the people that get on stage and talk about what they're going to do and address the crowds and all that will be gone. He's already taken out most of them. Now, I think it's kind of ironic that he left the president versus taking the supreme leader out, because the supreme leader is the main leader, but the president has always been a spokesman or a puppet. If you notice, he took a lot of the generals out too. I think he left the president because he wants to give him one more chance to say, look, we're going to lay down. We're going to sign a peaceful treaty and we're going to work it all out. Almost like Venezuela, where we had a backroom deal with the VP there, to where as soon as we took Maduro out, there was already someone in place. Now, there's been word that Pahlavi, which is Reza Pahlavi, which was the prince, the crown prince that was actually exiled, says now he's wanting to come back. I don't know if he's the right answer, because to be honest with you, he's never really shown strength. He's more just, hey, I think this would be good. He could go in and be a figurehead, but ultimately the goal would be to get to the people to where they can make the decisions for themselves. That's kind of the whole purpose of this. Now remember, we did not go into Iran. I know no matter what they say, we're going for the regime. We're going to save the 30 or 40,000 people that's already been massacred. And again, Tucker Carlson and Jeffrey Sachs and Marjorie Taylor Greene, none of them are going to talk about that. But we have 30 to 40,000 confirmed Iranians that's passed, all because their own regime took them out because they were trying to take over. But anyways, I digress. Let's go back. If the president says, okay, we're gonna lay down arms, I think this would be a complete win-win for Trump. If he doesn't, I think you're going to see more dismay and more upheaval, and I believe you're going to see more bombs go down. And I guess what I'm saying is, if we can't get someone in as a figurehead, and again, this is not about us taking over. The thing is actually this. We need someone who is willing to be a friend of America so we can stop China. That is actually what this is about. Not even Russia. This is really about China. China gets a lot of its oil through the Strait of Hormuz. They get a lot of course, a lot of the exports coming out of Iran goes to China. And guess what? The Strait of Hormuz was just closed, and the only boats allowed through is Iran and China. Actually, Iran bombed one of their own boats there. Have you seen that story? It's unbelievable. But they're the only ones they're allowing through. Now, I think the Iran play was strictly on this more than anything. Yes, they're a problem. They're a nuisance too. I mean, look, Saudi has come alongside, UAE has come alongside, and now Turkey has come alongside. People who typically may not agree with us on everything are now coming to our side and saying, yes, we need to topple this regime before it becomes an all-out war through the whole region, because they're bombing everybody. So I think this really was the play of Strait of Hormuz. I really do. But also this does do a double benefit, is it allows us to have maybe a new friend in the Middle East. Now, let's think biblical for a second. When you think biblical, we don't have friends in the Middle East one day. I mean, if you really let Revelation play out, there is no friends in the Middle East for us, especially when it comes to Israel too. Now, that being said, Russia, China, both are not friends of ours. If you think about the Gog and Magog war in the Bible, and again, we're getting very spiritual here, but when you think about the end times, the Far East, that's China. When you think about Gog and Magog and the people of Rush, that's Russia. So, I mean, you can do more readings on those, but we don't have friends here. We have to understand that. But I do think this is a good move to help the people maybe get control. Now, here's what I want you to do. If you go look online right now, type in 1970s era Iran, and then type in the last 2 months in Iran. In the 70s, they lived like us. They kind of had normal clothes on. They kind of lived a life that is kind of what they wanted. They had more freedoms under the Shah. And then it went to complete and utter Muslim rule. What we've realized is the countries that are locking down to have Sharia law is the ones that are actually making these radical ideologies and causing havoc all over the world. Places like UAE and even Qatar, which Qatar's leadership's a little bit different, but the people of Qatar, and then again the old Persia or Iran, they looked at things different to where it's like, look, you just leave me alone, I'll leave you alone, we can all live in peace. Now, I don't believe there'll ever be peace in the Middle East. We've talked about that. But there's a time where we can have some semblance of peace. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for us, so then we can focus back on America. Now, I know all the naysayers, all the the libertarians, everybody's getting up in arms about Trump. But if Trump comes away with this and really has no casualties, hopefully none, but even a minimal, does what he wants to do, comes back out like he did in Venezuela, it could be a win-win. Because now we're not only helping our hemisphere, we're also being a detriment to China growing in the Belt and Road Initiative or the areas in the Middle East. That is huge for us. That is huge for us to keep our dollar strong. We talked about this yesterday. Iranian currency is worth less than toilet paper right now. So they're actually saying if you need to wipe yourself, it's better to use a Iranian dollar than to use the toilet paper that the Iranian dollars pay and buy. Now, the purpose of what I'm saying is, look, we destroyed their currency. We did a cyber attack on their whole infrastructure, and we took out their leaders in less than 24 hours. What that shows is the might of the military. That proves to me one thing. When our military, when they have an objective, when Trump says this is what we're going to do and we have the mightiest military, he proved it in Venezuela and proving it in Iran. We didn't need 20-year wars. What that was a money laundering scheme by most politicians that are still in your Congress, by the way, and you're still backing them with your votes. It's still the same judiciary, the same political elite class. All those same people who hate on Trump right now are the same people who allowed for it to happen of the 20-year wars. And so far, Trump has not put us in 20-year wars. So I think right now what you're seeing is, and again, here's another thing. Because all these other Arab states are coming alongside Israel and America to take out Iran, that proves the point that libertarians and some of these others in America who are throwing fits about how Israel's ruling the world is so wrong, because all these Arab states don't even like Israel, but they don't like Iran even more. It's like, look, they're my enemies, but to be honest with you, Iran's more of an enemy. Let's take them out. They're even threatening more. UK is not even in this battle, and they bombed Cyprus, a place where UK has military bases. It proves these people are complete. It's like you have a rabid dog put in a corner, and they're going to do everything they can to shoot their way out of it or bite their way out of it, and that's what's happening. That's why this regime needs to be toppled. Now, let's go to the biblical part of this again. Where is America in this whole thing? Where is Israel in the whole thing? Where is the Arab states in the whole thing? Again, I don't believe we'll ever get ultimate peace in the Middle East. And I don't even believe that should be our true venture. I've told you before, I believe America First policies means we need to focus on America. Because this brings up the next point. The sleeper cells. If we want American empire and America's money to be strong, I know we have to work around the world. But then we also have to reshore and be smart, because right now we have dangers on our own shore. I want you to listen to what Sarah Adams just said, which was a former CIA targeter. Listen to what she stated. And again, this is also, let me share this first. An Al-Qaeda leader is demanding that Muslims around the world side against Israel and side with Iran in the current conflict. Also, the top commander said that he wants to go after anyone who represents anything other than Muslim faiths. Basically, he's trying to say, look, it's time for Muslims to stand up all over the world. Now, think about that for a second. That means all these sleeper cells that we're worried about could actually break out. Now, this is the part that I want to read from Sarah Adams, who is, again, was a CIA targeter, still works in this field, has intel like no one's ever known. She's always on showing around, but she is brilliant. I want you to listen to this. It says, prepared, not panicked. This is a long fight. Most of you who follow me have been preparing for the last 18 months to 2 years. In late December 2025, many of you shifted from preparation mode to vigilance mode. Be confident in the fact that you are ready, because something will pop off. For those who are new here, remember, we have a ton of terror here on our shores. Sleeper cells that are already ready. We watched terrorists exploit our open borders for years. The Director of National Counterintelligence, which was Kent, we talked about this last week, has publicly acknowledged that there's 18,000 Islamist terrorists here in the USA that are open threats, and we have known about them, and yet we will not do anything about them. You have the Democrats who are telling ICE to quit, and ICE is targeting these people to get them out of the country. So you have that going on. Now, she says, you have to prepare and you have to be ready. This is not about politics. This is about being practical, understanding your situational awareness, because in the cities, there is a major risk of something happening. Cities should be on high alert. I've shared with you posts over the last few years to prepare responsibly so you will not panic. But this is here. I want you to listen to this. This is from Alex Jones. It says, there's a high probability that Iran will now activate terror cells across the United States. Customs and Border Control confirms that the Biden administration let in thousands upon thousands upon thousands without vetting, and instead of Democrats pushing back, they'd allowed them to be here in America. Why is this a big problem? I want you to listen to this. In Germany right now, Germany compared to like Saudi. Now Saudi has not allowed one Christian church in all of Saudi. Now Saudi is one of those places under this new, under bin Salman. He of course is definitely Muslim, but he's not trying to radicalize as much as some of these other people are. But still, him, Qatar, places like that, they will not allow for Christian churches to be placed all over their kingdoms. Now, that being said, not one church in Saudi Arabia, which is way bigger than Germany. Listen, Germany has allowed for 2,750 mosques to be built in Germany to try to help embrace their culture. However, Saudi has not allowed for one church to go into Saudi Arabia to embrace German or English culture. So what I'm saying is we're already being infiltrated. This is happening in Texas. They said Texas opened up almost like 100 new mosques over the last like 24 months. And they said they're building these epic centers. Georgia, same way. Florida, same way. A lot of them are buying old churches because of some of this money coming from the Middle East. So the thing that's happening in the Middle East, the part I talk about being biblical, it's coming over here and we're allowing it to where the fall of our empire is inevitable if we don't do anything about it. That's why Germany and UK won't do anything, because they believe that their populations are so infiltrated that they would probably start having their own wars in their own countries and may lose their country because they've allowed for the infiltration to happen. If we're not careful, Democrats, the rhinos, even some libertarians will allow that same thing to happen here. Listen to this new number. Now, we're saying 18,000, so is the targeter for CIA, but I want you to listen to what this person stated. It says, in the last 24 hours, we're seeing serious and enduring consequences of national security, meaning we could risk our own shores because of what the Biden administration did. He said, we've always heard that it's 18,000 based on what Joe Kent stated. But what we've realized is that number could be completely wrong. What we're seeing now is this initiative is pushed where we're actually seeing maybe closer to 40,000 people here on our shores that could cause havoc for Americans. Said it shouldn't be happening, but ultimately it is. ICE has already arrested 43,305 potential national security risks in America. ICE has also already arrested 1,416 known suspected terror. DHS has removed 1,392 people on the terror watch list. It proves the point that those numbers may have been wrong, and we may have a whole lot more sleeper cells here than ever before. Brianna Morello says, DHS has provided me the numbers, and the numbers match up with that the 43,000 is correct. The 1,400 known terrorists have been taken out, and the 1,300 known terrorists DHS has removed. But ultimately, that shows that there's already sleeper cells here, and we may be caught off guard with how many. That's why they're saying cities, prepare. Now, two things I want to kind of end with. While we're trying to kind of close everything out in the Middle East, and I think that's a good thing, in and out. North Korea. I hadn't said too much, but now North Korea is already saying that he wants aggression, and he is weighing what he can do to help Iran. He says he is ready for war with the Donald. Quote, the Donald. Now, I don't believe we need to do anything about this guy unless he threatens us or unless he really puts, some kind of really risk on us other than yapping his mouth. But don't put your head in the sand to think this guy doesn't have the power to do probably some damage to us. And again, this is another friend of China. The more friends we take out of China, the more China feels very, very emboldened to do what they want to do with that Taiwan. So when I say I don't believe World War III is coming out of this, I do believe that we're seeing kind of the ruffles of end times, or ruffles of World War III, or ruffles of Middle Eastern conflict for a long time coming. Could there be times of peace? Hopefully. But just remember, if we're talking biblical here, there is never peace in the Middle East, even since the time of the Abrahamic covenant versus Isaac and Ishmael. Now, last thing I want to say. Today, go fill your tanks up. Have some petroleum on hand. Make sure you have stockpiles of food and medicine, because you never know what may happen. Like Sarah Adams says, it's about being prepared. It's not panicking. But having seeds, having food, having medicine, I tell you all the time, you can go down below. I have links to all those things below. Chase Medical, Survival Garden Seeds, other food banks, also gold and silver. Think about it. We destroyed their currency in less than 24 hours. It was actually less than 12 hours. So if some of those Iranians took those dollars and bought gold a long time ago, they'd be okay. Wouldn't be panicking. Focus on those kind of things. You have to think for yourself that gold, silver, medicines, food, defense, self-defense, those things are good. Because right now, we're at high alert. Our cities are on high alert. Sleeper cells could be activated. There's been several reports that certain people in Iran and certain other terror groups are already trying to activate. Hamas, Hezbollah, both things are trying to activate sleeper cells all over the world. Worldwide alert here. So Trump, DHS, FEMA, the CIA target, all of them are telling you, just be prepared. Be ready. It's not over yet. Don't ever be not thankful, though. Don't ever take your life for granted. When I was thinking about all that going on last night, me and Misty were getting in bed, and we have tons of medicine stockpile, we have tons of food stockpile. We're going to fill up vehicles and top off gas, things like that. Today, this night already topped off, and I said, you know what? How blessed are we that we get to sleep in our bed, and there's so much havoc going on in the world. And I don't believe anybody should deserve havoc. I wish we could all live in peace. But again, biblical. We have people who want evil, and evil happens. Jeffrey Sachs, who speaks openly against this Trump administration and Republican talking points, and Tucker always platforms him. China and Russia want him to come speak to them and give his words on how they could benefit or how they could be okay during all this. When you think about that, it shows that there's a lot of there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. There's a lot of bad people in the world. There's a lot of evil in the world. And no matter how much we want peace, I don't know if peace will ever be there. So every day that you're able to live, be thankful. Don't take it for granted. When you can lay your head on a pillow, knowing that you seem very safe and you're prepared, that's a good thing. Guys, be thankful today. Pray for our nation. Pray for the other people all across the world that's going through this havoc. And again, love your family. Be thankful for them. God bless.
Oh, come on and let's go. Let's be free with me. Yeah, be free, be free, be free.